much for the invitation, and actually the invitation was directed to Head of Unit Strategy in our directorate by Economy, Waldemar Kitt, but he was not able to come, so I'm very happy to be here. Maybe I haven't been so long and so many times as Mark in Budapest in my life, but still I've been here many times, and it's always a pleasure to be here. So thank you again. And well, today I would like to speak about the bioeconomy strategy and some points that are developed to update it now on the Commission side, and also what is in for the EU 13. First of all, I'll give a brief introduction to the bioeconomy concept. I'm sure that everyone in this room is quite familiar by now with bioeconomy, but maybe just to remind what some of objectives are, then to take a few points on the European context and the policies that have impact on bioeconomy. Then what is very important is the regional aspects, what occurs on the bioeconomy is developed well on different levels, of course. It can come from the top, so from European level, but in fact it is implemented and developed on regional, on local level, and this local aspect is very important. What happens in the cities, what happens in the regions, villages, the concept of bioregions is there circulating, so this regional aspect is important. And finally, some success stories from Central European region. So just to remind ourselves that bioeconomy is a production of and use and better conversion of biological renewable resources, and this is captured in the 2012 EU bioeconomy strategy. So this slide tries to show in a kind of comprehensive way many challenges that exist about bioeconomy, feeding the world, feeding populations, and also doing this sustainably. So not to depleting the resources, which are in fact finite and are precious. So it is also to mobilize economies on different levels. In rural dimension is very important, coastal economies, sea, also land, and finally to do it in agreement with economy, and it's how we call it. So it is about also doing this in an economically viable way. So here we see that different sectors combine and create bioeconomy. And in fact, this is about, again, doing things better and more sustainable from the less resources, and also taking care of environment with reducing oil dependency, fossil fuels, reduction of emissions is important, and finally producing new gains for the economy and for the society. So this slide comes from the Finnish bioeconomy strategy, which I think shows in an interesting way how in the history development of a society where would we find bioeconomy now. So this comes after the natural resource economy, then the fossil economy that is slowly decreasing now. Because it has reached the limits of ecosystems and of development. And now the expectation is that this will be taken over with sustainable development, moving to the post-petroleum society or post-fossil society to bring prosperity basically to the society. So this social aspect again is very important here. Now looking on some recent policies on the European level and also global level, because bioeconomy of course is developed not only in Europe, it's very much promoted globally. We see this development all over the world. But in Europe, some recent developments that are important for this, for the policy making, especially is that bioeconomy is part of discussion about circularity. So circularity that on the European level again was implemented with a circular economy package about 1 year ago, which out of 5 areas that this package includes, 3 have very important connection to bioeconomy, which is reduction of food waste, plastics, and also biomass and bio-based products. This package also includes an expectation that there will be a guidance on cascading use of biomass developed by the Commission, and also suggests that investments in biorefineries will promote also circularity. Then there is also included in the package a revised legislative proposal on waste. So the use of waste is of course a key element of circularity in general, and the concrete actions that this proposal includes deal with aspects of how bio-waste should be treated. It should be prevented from being landfilled, and it should contribute to develop new products and come back in the circulation in the recycling. So and also that the elements that are used for production of energy, bioenergy, come from residues that cannot be used for other products. So this cascading use of biomass is again very much part of this discussion. Also the plastic strategy is reduction of fossil and substitution for bio-based products and concretely bio-based plastics, and development of biodegradable and more environmentally sustainable materials is important, for instance, from the point of view of reduction of contamination of environment, marine litter, and so on. Now, the second element here is the development of energy union by the EU, and concretely the strategy on research and innovation and competitiveness for the energy union. This is a follow-up on the climate agreement made in Paris in 2015. So this includes development of biorefineries again, reduction of agriculture emissions, boosting carbon sink, and this strategy will be used to guide the discussion on climate change goals. And the expansion of markets, so standardization, public awareness, public procurement and awareness in general, these all elements help to create markets for bio-based products and also help to make consumers more confident that the products that they are buying are actually better, not only because a producer says this, but there is some basis for this claim. And there are several projects from FP7 and Horizon, and also from the bio-based industries joint undertaking to support these policy actions. The key concept about bioeconomy is the value chain concept. So to see the production of different resources in a holistic way. It's starting from the biomass and its conversion in biorefinery to final product. So some of the ideas are shown on this slide. From traditional feedstocks like sugar beets, it is possible not only to produce sugar but also some high-value products like cosmetics, some even pharmaceuticals, from algae, also from wood residues, from different resources that come from waste also, and these so there is a huge spectrum of innovation that exists for these high-value plant-based value chains. And one concrete example of this being implemented now in Europe is integrated biorefinery created in Sardinia by a joint venture between Eni, which is the Italian large petrochemical company, and the plastic company in Sardinia as well, to a bioplastics company to have complete value chain from a locally grown non-food plant cardoon to develop different bio-based products from cosmetics, plastics, also agrochemical products, pesticides, natural pesticides from this resource in Sardinia. And interestingly, this is done in the converted old petrochemical facility there with support from regional structural funds. So, and also from the VBI project, one of the largest flagships funded by the VBI initiative. Looking on the EU policies, well, the circular economy is one of the most important policies, as I mentioned before. But of course, bioeconomy is an important part of this circularity concept. So we can say that, in fact, bioeconomy is the biological circular economy part, shown here on this slide on the left side, with biomass entering into the cycle with extraction of valuable compounds, and the remaining elements either coming back to regenerate the biosphere for farming, or only the minute, hopefully the most reduced part of it being wasted or being not used and in practice landfilled. So coming to the EU bioeconomy strategy from 2012, we had in this strategy three main elements: investment and research and innovation, which is, as we just heard, is very important to support. There was a big increase of funding in terms of Horizon. This is mostly this element. However, there is also important not to forget that significant amount of funding is available in the structural funds, and this synergies between structural funds and Horizon is taken care of in the strategy, at least to some extent, as we see it in this first block. Policy interaction and stakeholder engagement is very important. In practice, this was implemented through creation of bioeconomy panel and bioeconomy observatory. Also, international cooperation here in this element, especially with the creation of a new bioeconomy international forum. And finally, enhancement of markets. This mostly was implemented through the establishment of bio-based industries joint undertaking, which is now well underway and financing projects on its own. The bioeconomy strategy is being reviewed, as we heard and as you are aware. This has involved several stakeholder events, which I will not go into detail here, but you can see this on the slide. Perhaps just to mention the two important ones: EU presidencies from the Netherlands, the conference in Utrecht last year, and also in Bratislava end of last year, which contributed to this process, this review process, and also naturally the establishment of an expert group. The review expert group, including 14 experts from all over EU, and we are happy to have a member of this panel here. So this group is working and is expected to deliver the report by June this year. There will be then a staff working document from the Commission summarizing the whole process of a review, which is expected to be adopted by October-November this year, and possibly next year a proposal for a follow-up of this strategy. So this could be could be either a new strategy or an update, but this hasn't been decided yet. And of course, it will depend on the whole process of review of a report from the expert group. Now, looking to some regional aspects, which, as I said, are very important, and especially for focusing on EU 13, just to show some possibly quite obvious picture, to show that this depends very much on a broader political context, which also deals with investment climate and the long-term strategies that come from either political commitment and business commitment to develop a joint effort to promote a new policy that is, for instance, bioeconomy. So this also depends on whether there is a smart specialization strategy in a given region that promotes and supports certain investments, such as bioeconomy. Then concretely, how does it look in Europe? There was a very recent study contracted by Directorate Bioeconomy to map what is happening in the European regions and member states when it comes to research and innovation plans and strategies for bioeconomy, to have a picture, also to help with development of a review of bioeconomy strategy. The study is in the final stages, so the final report will be published very soon. I'm showing here the preliminary results, but it is almost finished. So we had a presentation recently to present this study. And basically it showed that bioeconomy is being developed in practically all over Europe, but of course the definitions what is bioeconomy are very different. So there are different interpretations and different priorities in many regions. However, in broad terms, the strategies can be grouped, or the priorities can be grouped in 3 blocks, which is about the biomass supply, biomass processing, and bio-based industries. So you can see this on this picture. So broadly, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of all this thematic focus in different regions. And then focusing more on what we can see on the map of Europe. So this is taking a look on the first priority for each of the regions that the study looked at. So for instance, for agriculture, you can see that this is pretty much all over Europe. Or of course for coastal regions, this is about the coastal areas, so there is no surprise here. For biochemicals, for instance, it is quite interesting to see that there are some regions which you would think that they have a chemical industry and this is why they have an interest in this, but there are some other regions which also invest in this and they want to promote it. So it will be interesting to have a more detailed look after this study is published and to confirm what does it mean in practice. This waste processing is here also. This picture is perhaps the most interesting because it shows the level of maturity that the study identified. So it developed an index on the state of maturity of bioeconomy strategy in the regions. And it looked on the presence of a local strategy, on the general innovation capacity of a region. And you can see already from this picture that these yellow colors are lower levels and green are higher levels, basically. So in Central and Eastern Europe, it tends to be more yellow than green. So there is a space to improve, certainly, when it comes to innovation capacity and it comes to the presence of bioeconomy strategies. So basically the regions are interested, so this is what the study confirms. However, in many regions there is a low level of bioeconomy maturity, and then the regions, they were interviewed by the authors of the study. They expressed a need to support when it comes to strategic planning and governance of bioeconomy, so they were missing the strategies. Then the regions also were interested to have more development of a value chain concept when it comes to SME engagement especially. And then to more focus on research and innovation, on technologies and new bioeconomy skills, and finally on the awareness and public acceptance. So this is perhaps not very surprising, these results of the study, but it again confirms that there is still a lot to be done to improve this the general innovation capacity and awareness again and public acceptance. These are the most important issues. Quickly moving to the issue of synergies with structural and regional funds, so ESIF budget for research and innovation. Without going into details, we see that in the EU 13, this is quite a significant budget which is available. So by arrows, you can identify the countries of EU13 receiving structural funds for research and innovation. And this is increased with additional funding for other thematic objectives, which also deal with innovation and low carbon technologies, new approaches for innovative solutions and so on. So then there is a significant amount of funding available for these synergies. And some of the practical issues that can be tackled with these synergies between ESIF and regional actions in terms of bioeconomy could be, for instance, to have more economic local activities on regional quality agro-food products, on waste, reduction of food waste, reduction of environmental impact, low carbon technologies, bioenergy, innovation for agro-food industry, bio-based products, marketing, awareness, and finally SME as in fact requested by the regions that we have seen in a previous slide. So this is just to again highlight the need to have better coordination between different streams of funding and policy, in fact. So this is just to confirm this need to have a bridge between what's happening in the regions and what is happening in terms of bioeconomy supported by Horizon, and actually different events that the Commission has engaged in the especially last year, with presence at several conferences and organizing different workshops and stakeholder events. Also the multi-actor approach that was mentioned before. This is all helping to bridge this gap between regions and regional actors, local actors, and what is happening on the EU level. So some of the concrete actions on the ground for the EU13 regions that can be suggested. This is firstly to support market supply of sustainably exploiting biomass. We organized a workshop last year in Brussels and in Ghent with a focus on EU cohesion policy regions with presence of 8 Central European member states and Committee of Regions, BBI, also DG Agri was there, and the report from this workshop is available. So this gave some suggestions what can be done when it comes to conversion of biomass to bio-based products, and also creation of market demand by investing in new value chains, as mentioned before. So this could be done within the concept of green public procurement for innovative bioproducts, or also by creating more consumer awareness and interest in these new products. And this is just a picture that is shown on some occasions, so I wanted to show it here as well. It shows the possibility of having more biomass sourced from regions in which there is an identified surplus of land for production of biomass. So this is shown on the left-hand side with dark green regions having identified this biomass supply, mostly as we can see in Central European regions, and also on the right-hand side with price of production tends to be lower in these regions. So this is highlighting the possibility about biomass. But of course, the whole concept of engaging Central European regions should not be limited just to production of biomass. It should be the whole value chain concept, and also looking on the human capacities and many other aspects. But this is just a highlight on this one aspect, on biomass production, land and cost. And finally, some success stories from the region. So actually, as I mentioned, last year there were several important initiatives taken up in the European and also on the local level in Central and Eastern Europe. So of course, the BioEast initiative is one of them. So I think this is a good moment to congratulate for having this initiative taking up and continuing. We had also the letter of 4 academies of sciences from the Visegrad countries with proposals on research and bioeconomy and also involving regional dimensions. So Danube region is one of them. There was a bioeconomy congress in Łódź in Poland, which included signature of Declaration of Bioregions, and increase cooperation with BBI. Then, as mentioned before, Bioeconomy Conference in Bratislava, the presidency event. There were several projects that started or were about to start last year, and now they are running, funded by Horizon 2020. The 3 projects that I listed here come from Poland, and they deal with different aspects of development of bioeconomy from different instruments of Horizon. Spreading excellence is the first one, then bioeconomy and circular economy. So you can see that there is more tools to be used than just bioeconomy, but still supporting bioeconomy concept. And finally, BBI itself is, as I mentioned, is running. And just to highlight the flagship called Bioskok, this is a brownfield project in eastern Slovakia to develop an integrated biorefinery, so an advanced facility with 3 Slovak partners receiving a significant amount of BBI funding, so EU funding for this activity. So there are many instruments available. And just to go back to the Declaration of Bioregions signed in Łódź last year. So this can be seen as a sign of interest on the regional level. So we saw that 8 regions from Poland signed this declaration, and of course it is open to other regions, and it would be expected that more regions would sign it also. Mostly about the deployment of local biocommunities. And also, very practically, this can be seen as a step to increase cooperation with activities such as BBI. At the occasion of Declaration of Bioregions in Łódź, the same region signed the letter of intent with BBI, and this can be very useful to have better awareness and better communication between this. To finish with giving you some links to some initiatives. There are many of these initiatives from both from the Commission and from regional activities such as Parkand Initiative, and of course more information. We'll be very happy to give more information from the Commission side as well. So thank you very much for this. Thank you.